What's up, everybody? We got a new episode of the What's Your Why podcast out today with Tyler Dykema. Tyler is a friend I met working at Junkyard and was gracious enough to come on the podcast here today and just talk through his life and the travels he's done across the world. It was super fun to sit down and talk with him. I hope you guys will enjoy this podcast as much as I did. It was recorded a couple weeks ago, so keep that in mind. But Happy New Year and get after it this year. Thank you and enjoy this episode. If you like it, share it. Bye.
I think like
A good conversation to start with.
I'll drink IPAs and stuff. I've actually kind of gone away from IPAs, to be completely honest, because even those two, it's like you just get such a heavy drunk. I've been lately into the nice crispy light beers.
Oh yeah.
Just because you can drink those all day. Like if I go out and I know I'm going to be drinking for a good long while, just give me like Coors Lights all night. You can drink like 20 of those and be completely fine.
If I had 20 Coors Lights,
they might catch up with you.
I haven't had I think the drunkest I've been in a long time was my wedding.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
We got messed up that night. It was so fun though.
I was pretty good at my wedding, to be completely honest. I'm really proud of myself. I think I just ate so much food right away, so I couldn't even drink. I actually counted. I think I had 4 or 5 beers at my whole entire reception. That was it.
The thing that got me was my mother-in-law was handing out gummies.
Oh.
And I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 times.
Oh my God. I don't know how you would have done that.
And I think I only had like 4 drinks total.
Yeah.
But to me, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'm a total lightweight.
I am too, man. The older I get, it's just like, which I'm okay with. I don't need to be doing that.
Yeah. Well, who are you? Tell me who you are.
Tyler Dykema. Born and raised in Fargo here. Well, actually born in Fargo, and then parents split up when I was like 4 or 5, and then moved down to Wahpeton, which is like an hour south of here, with my mom. My dad stayed up here. Good divorce, nothing bad at all. It was very easy going. Didn't have any childhood trauma, I don't think, from that. And then, I graduated from Wahpeton in 2008. So I turned the big 35 in 2 days, actually. So, I'm getting a little reality check of how old I actually am. Talking about drinking, too. But, so stuck around here, went to school, and didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school, to be honest. I mean, I grew up on a farm. I thought for a little bit I was going to be sticking around there, but 2008, as we know, the world was pretty upside down with the economy. My family, my mom and my stepdad, they have a small farm, so nothing too crazy, not enough to where I could really have a part in it at that time. So I didn't put too much thought into college right away. And I couldn't really tell my mom I wasn't going to go to college, so I just needed to get out of Wahpeton, so I went to Rasmussen Business School.
There you go.
My dad, he just said, just if you don't know what you want to do, just go get a business degree, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I got marketing and associates degree, marketing and sales and associates degree. There you go. And then did that. Didn't do too much with that right away. Had some buddies going into the trades, so then I went back to Wahpeton to science school. Went for plumbing. 1-year degree with that certificate. And then I came back up to Fargo, plumbed for a little bit, for about a year and a half. And then I had some opportunity to kind of get in the sales field. I was working with my dad just as an outside sales rep for an aftermarket auto body company. It's actually a couple blocks away there, Fargo Bumper.
Oh, nice.
So a cool little spot. Just basically drive around and talk to the local body shops and sell them aftermarket replacement parts. Pretty chill. And then the big opportunity, I guess, what kind of really got me out of here for a good while, I went to California. My cousin, her husband, so I guess I can just call him my cousin too, he started kind of an interesting business in Southern California in Irvine. The e-liquid industry with the vaporizers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So when that started in America, I think, obviously I think it all kind of came from China and over in Southeast Asia area. But when it was introduced in the United States, it started down there and it was going gangbusters. People were just, it was before any of the regulations happened. It was kind of like bathtub gin. People were just, you could go get the ingredients, this and that, you know, make it at home. And next thing you know, there's people are going from rags to riches. And, you know, I was 24 years old and he said, hey man, you know, you're young, dumb, and single right now. That was kind of the vibe of the conversation. You got a business degree. I've got some sales roles, and I got a house and a job lined up for you. Just live with me. You'll figure it out. And so I packed up my bags and told him after that conversation, I said, I'll be out there in 30 days. So I packed up my bags, drove from Fargo to Irvine, California. They were living at that time. Yeah, they were in Irvine as well at that time when I moved in with them. So Buddy hopped in with me, and then he flew home. I did that. It was interesting. I was there for a little over a year. I was an inside wholesale rep for an e-liquid manufacturing company. So my job basically was just to attack small vape shops and try to introduce my product to them. I was in charge of the northeast part of the U.S., but very interesting company to be with, especially if you've never really been a smoker at all. So it's like I can't really relate to anything at this, so it's kind of out of my realm. So you just had to kind of go with it and see what you're made of. But it was good. I enjoyed it for a bit. Southern California is a different animal if you're coming straight from the Midwest, Fargo, North Dakota. I mean, just so innocent and naive when I went out there, and tell you what, it's a wild world, as you can imagine. But I did that for a bit and made a road trip up to San Francisco actually about 6 months in from when I moved to California, and absolutely fell in love with the place. If you've never been, I know it gets a lot of flack, but I love the city. It's got so much character and diversity. You know, if you leave out the homelessness, as every city does, I mean, don't be naive about it. And the politics are another animal. But if you want an experience, I would tell anybody, go check out the Bay Area. It's got something for everybody. And if you're outdoorsy, that's a cool spot to check out. And then when I was there, I did a bunch of stuff. What did I start off doing?
All right, let's get to, I'm going to back you up first.
I feel like I'm rambling a bit.
Yeah, it's okay. So when you were, I like to figure out somebody's mindset. Kind of like how they got down to where they are now. When you were in like middle school, early high school, what was your mindset? What did you like? Were you into school? Were you into?
I was not into school. I did not take school seriously at all. I did the I'll be completely honest with you right now. I got nothing to hide. I did the absolute bare minimum.
So what were you into then?
I didn't play too much sports. I mean, it's kind of funny. I'm the guy now. You could. I don't know anything about sports. I always tell people. I mean, this is lying, but you know, you could put Tom Brady next to me, and I'd probably be like, "Who is he?" You know. I mean, it's just I don't know. I followed kind of the X Games kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So the extreme sports, and I would say in middle school though, my big passion, I really got into the music. I mean, I used to just like music facts and music documentaries. I used to read Rolling Stone magazine and all those other guitar magazines, this and that, about bands. When I would find a band I liked, for some reason, I would just go all in. In middle school, you know, I went through my classic rock phase. I mean, Led Zeppelin was just, who doesn't like Led Zeppelin? And when I heard those guys for the first time, I couldn't get enough of it. Let's just go down the rabbit hole. And I would say the biggest music path to the band I really got into was Jack White and the White Stripes. But yeah.
Was it were you like identifying with like the lyrics and whatnot, or you just like really just enjoy?
I think so. I think I'm definitely a person where music can alter your mood at any given time. 100%. I mean, the band that I absolutely adore more than anything is Pearl Jam, and why I like them so much is no matter what you're going through, what type of emotion, what you want to feel, what you're hoping to get out of it, I feel like they have a different avenue in all of their music. You know, I mean, they got, if you're pissed off, they got music for that. If you're sad, they got some music for that. If you're depressed, they got some songs about that. I mean, just about anything and everything. And I think that's why I've kept them so close with me. So I think I am a person where music definitely gets personal with me. And I keep it to myself, I think, but yeah, music's important. It's some people it doesn't really do too much. It's just kind of white noise background, but I definitely get some stuff out of it, and it'll put you in the mindset that you're hoping to be in. I think that's what it's like if I, how do I say it? You know, I want to feel good. I want to feel good. I've got a separate playlist where I can put that on and like, all right, cool. You know, I'm going through some shit right now. I got a playlist for that too. I've got my set song, so that's definitely important. So. But that was kind of my mindset back then, was just like extreme sports, snowboarding, X Games. Obviously, when I was out in California, started following the surf industry pretty good.
Yeah.
And did not care about school. If I got a D- and that was passing, hey man, happy days. You know, just as long as that my mom didn't chew my ass when I got home, it was whatever, man.
There you go. So back then you didn't have like, even like coming out of high school, you didn't have like the clear set goal, it sounds like.
No.
But when you were, say, like junior, senior year, everybody's pushing you to probably do something.
Yeah.
Was there anything like you really wanted to do?
It's tough to go back. No, that's the thing where I wish I would have taken that a little bit more serious. You know, it's like I wish I maybe would have had some more in-depth talks with some people about, hey, this is, you know, should maybe look at the bigger picture of life.
I'm interested because you have, like, we've talked about your trips before, like you're going to Vietnam, right?
Yep.
Going to Vietnam, no plans. You just have a flight home plan.
Yep. I got a flight there and a flight back.
And to me, that's just astounding.
I love that. That was the itineraries to this day scare me. It puts the unneeded pressure. I think the people that I have traveled with the most in the past were very just, let's just go with it, man. I mean, when I would say, I mean, I'll go fast forward a little bit. When I really kind of picked up the travel bug and really got close with some people about just, you know, not being careless per se, but just, hey, you kind of just got to go for it. Everything will work out with a reason on its own, is when I spent a winter up in Truckee, Northern California, working at Squaw Valley. I was just a ski bum working as a lifty there. And those are a lot of guys that just chase the seasons, complete dirtbags, best people ever. You know, living in their vans, just, you know, surviving off ramen noodles and PBR. And those were the guys that just, no plans, just get the cheapest ticket over there and you'll figure it out. And I don't know, they just always seemed like they were having the best time. And I've been on trips before where people just, I mean, have a legit printed out itinerary and it's just like, I'm uninterested. No, come on. Yeah. But I always tell people, I think I was telling you, you know, whenever I go to a different city or a different country or whatnot, I always just go find the most local place ever and just talk to the bartender and be like, hey man, I'm here for this amount of days. You know, don't give me the top tourist spots. Give me the stuff like I gotta see. Give me the local edition, you know. So after meeting people like that, I think that's how I got as adventurous as I was, per se, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure where it really started, my travel bug.
No, that's all good.
Yeah.
When you were leaving high school and you kind of just chose the business degree, what were you, or like at the Rasmussen, like business and marketing sales, what were you into then? What would you do in your off time?
That's when I started running.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I had, you know, it's kind of sad to say, I don't think I had any big goals at that time. You know, I think I knew deep down I wanted to leave for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not in like a sappy, sad way. I wasn't happy here, but I definitely had made a few trips. My aunt always makes a joke. I went out to California for the first time. I think I was in 7th grade. It was for her daughter, which is my cousin, her college graduation. And she always says, I knew you were going to be out here one day. And I always remembered that trip. I'd been on some other ones, nothing too crazy, but Fargo just wasn't doing it for me at that time. Just really needed to spread my wings, and I didn't have any long-term goals set up. And I think that was the thing that was really pushing me and kicking me. And I think that opportunity from my cousin's husband really kind of put a spark in me. And they made me work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember how it really transpired was I was out there. So, okay, back to college, what I was into. I really got into running. I had a college roommate. He would run all the time. He was super fit. And I was, as you do in college, you kind of just get a little out of shape. And I started just running with him here and there. And was starting to really like it, going very regularly, getting pretty good in shape. And my mom mentioned, you should do that 5K that they have the night before the Fargo Marathon around here. It seems to be a pretty good crowd. I did that, absolutely got the bug for running. If you've never been to any of those road races, I mean, just the atmosphere there and the amount of positive energy is just intoxicating. It's insane.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody's on cloud 9.
Yeah.
Everybody's just there to just cheer everybody on, and then you're just, I like how it's your own personal endeavor when you go to those races. I don't feel anybody's competing against anybody. You're all there to do it for your own personal reasons.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is a bad thing to say. I feel I'm a very independent player. I've never really been into the team sports, so maybe I'm not a team player, I guess, in essence. But that's what I liked about those. It was just kind of getting to know yourself and doing this for your own personal reasons and talking to people and why are you doing this? What's your personal goal and why do you want to do this? And everybody obviously wants to set their PR, and it's just so fun to see everybody, kill their PR and just hype each other up. It's a whole new drug for people if you've ever been there.
Yeah.
But so I worked up from 5Ks to 10Ks to half marathons and eventually a marathon. So I went out to Santa Barbara to do the Santa Barbara Marathon, and that's where my aunt lives. And so I went out there for a week, did the marathon, and my cousin down in Laguna, she came up and watched me, and she said, hey, since you're here for a few days, you should come down to Laguna area, Orange County, Irvine, and check out the company Rodney, her husband, and his buddies have been working on, and I think they'd like you. And I went there, hung out with them, and they just, this guy's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of BSing around, like, what are you doing in life? Just picking my brain a little bit. And, oh, yeah, small talk. Yeah, you should come on here, this and that. And, the next day, my cousin reached out, and I think we were just shooting the shit. And, she's like, if you're serious, this could be a real thing, but think about it. Don't just toy them around.
Yeah.
They're going to make you work for it. You need to work on them, but they will bring you out here if you really want it. I'm like, all right, cool. So that was in November. And then that was November of 2013 was the marathon. And then I left middle of February to actually go out there. So it took a good, 2-3 months of just calling them and keeping up with them. And finally they called me and said, all right, yeah, we'll make some room for you.
Okay.
And so that kind of started my journey out there. But
I think if you ever get the chance, you should do one of the trail races.
See, I've talked to a lot of people, and I've kind of almost given up the really long distance.
You don't have to do super long.
And that's just it. And they're like, try trail running because it's less resistant, on the body.
Yeah.
And so much better. I really want to try that.
Do
they have half marathon and full marathon?
Yeah, they do. It's for some reason they're more popular to do ultras.
Yeah, I can see that.
Most ultras that have a 50K also have a 30K.
Okay.
Or 25K, so 15 miles.
Yep.
I'll do one either this summer or next summer. That's a 30K.
Okay.
Which is like 22, I think.
Something like that. Because
Something
what's
like
a full marathon? Like 46K? Or something,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. And so they're so fun. It's the energy that like one person has at a marathon to cheer. It's like that, but like times 10.
Yeah.
And everybody has like their crew there.
Yeah.
And so their crew waits for like hours.
Yeah.
And so they have nothing else to do but cheer for these other random people that have no idea.
Yeah.
And then they're barbecuing with like the people that they randomly meet while they're waiting for their person too.
It's such a huge camaraderie, like community.
It's cool.
I think my goal was when I first got into it, marathoning or just long distance runs. My goal with that actually was to try to keep me traveling as much as I could and running. I wanted to try like the 50 state thing.
Oh,
it's like, hey, this will give me a reason to go on a trip and do what I like to do right now.
Yeah.
Is this running thing. So, but yeah, I was actually looking at joining the Fargo Marathon this spring, but you know how life is, so it's no excuse, but we'll see.
The half is
I still might do the half.
not crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the half. I've snuck into the half in Fargo like 3 or 4 times.
Have you?
So, yeah.
just get on and
Yeah.
you get a medal too, or what?
Yeah. I've only taken a medal 2 of the 3 times I snuck in.
Fair enough.
Because like one person like looked and they're like, she looked like she was questioning me, and I just walked right by.
Just
her.
yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna do this right now.
Yeah, right.
But I did take food. I took like,
I was gonna say
a couple donuts.
Can I just have the free beer and the one free beer I get at the beer garden?
But no, it's so fun. I think Fargo is like super. Usually it's cool.
Yep. And
2
it's
years ago
flat
it was
and
hot.
Yeah, flat and fast.
Yeah.
So people come here for their Boston qualifier. What if? I mean, that was a goal too. It was obviously just 2 things: to be able to good enough to have a qualifying time, and second, to be actually get to race it. And even if I ever don't run it, qualify or whatever, I would like to go out there on Patriots Day just to run it, because I knew some people. People actually lived with when I was in San Francisco that were from Boston, and they said the whole city shuts down. You don't work and you just party all day, whatever. It's like the whole northeast part of the country is there, and they said that just watching it as a bystander is an experience in itself. It's wild, so that'd be cool. I was watching this documentary not too long ago. Is it the Berkeley Marathons or the Barkley Marathon?
Berkeley.
The Berkeley.
No, Barkley. You're
I
right.
think it's Barkley.
Are you talking about the one in Tennessee?
Yeah, where like every year the guy, there's no registration fee. It's just like this. One year it's a T-shirt, and one year it's like a pair of pants or something.
Yeah, because it's like clothing for him.
Yeah, he's just like,
then,
whatever. These people just keep coming back.
And then it's a license plate if it's your first time. From your home
there you
state.
go. Yep.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That was an interesting race. And is it an ultra or what was it? I can't remember.
So it's
some goofy stuff.
It's like he says it's 100 miles,
but it's nothing is like accurate, is it? It's
no.
Straight up, you don't know what you're getting into.
You can't use like a GPS at all. He gives you like a Timex watch, which is like it just shows time.
Yeah.
And then you can't use a timer either.
Okay.
And then you have to navigate by map. There's no trails. And so some of it's like bushwhacking.
Yeah.
And like you can't go on this trail that's like over here. You have to like go up the middle of this like slope where there's a bunch of bushes.
Like, good luck.
Yeah. And it's said to be between like 125 to 135 miles.
Jeez.
Even though he says it's 100.
Yeah. Oops, threw an extra thing.
Because they'll go back and like they'll retrace their steps and like calculate the
You
mileage.
just possibly can't train for something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so
not for the faint of heart.
I just saw a statistic about it the other day. My friend sent me a documentary. She was like, "We should do this." I was like, "Do you know how hard that race is?"
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready.
Yeah.
It looks like something just kind of thrown together, which it was.
Yeah,
but
totally.
It's totally very insane. Yeah,
it's like only like 30 people with thousands of attempted it.
I was just gonna tell you or ask you. I mean, how many people actually finished it? I mean, it's really low, and it's
less than one a year, I think,
something
on average.
like that. Yeah, you just kind of. I think the thrill of it now is just saying you did it.
Yeah,
some part of it, you know.
And then there's also like he calls like 3 laps, which is about 75 miles. He calls it a fun run.
Yeah.
And then but it doesn't count as finishing.
Okay.
So he's like, if you complete the fun run, like, good on you.
Yeah.
But you still don't get the finish.
Yes.
Which is like the 125, 135, which is just insane.
That's insane. What's your longest one you've done now?
58.
58.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how you trained for that, man.
I think it's crazy because I find it to be, it's so mental.
Okay.
And like, I was just talking about it the other day with somebody who was asking about ultras.
Yeah.
And like the first time I attempted it, mentally, I had no idea it was going to be that hard.
Yeah.
Because that was the first race I ever attempted. It was
Really?
It was 56 miles at the time.
Yeah. How do you psych yourself up for that?
And a lot of Goggins.
Yeah.
To be honest.
A lot of Goggins. David Goggins was in my head.
Yeah. And a lot of just like random like there is protocols you could do. Okay. Like building up to doing like a 35 to 45 mile run 2 to 3 weeks before.
Right.
I didn't do that. I just kind of banked on will.
Just wing it.
And like I did a 12 miler the Monday before, and I think the longest run I did earlier to that was like a 22 miler.
Okay.
Maybe. And I was like, I got this. It's all like
fair enough.
All in the heart.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much I was gonna have to like sit to drink foods. I didn't realize how hot it was gonna be out there. Because like the valleys of north of Medora are hotter than like the city itself.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And so like the second year I did it got up to like 108 out there, but ended up being like the hottest day of the year out there. All 3 times I attempted it. Actually, no, not this year. This year was the year I actually got it.
Okay.
But it got up to like 109 or 108 this year, I think it was, at like 11:30. But the day before, in the city of Medora, so that was like just in one of the valleys where like it just really cooks and there's no wind.
Right.
But it was blowing with wind, and it was in the city was like 105.
Oof.
It was insane.
Absolutely miserable.
And so like in the city the next day was like 92. Yeah. So it cooled down significantly from the day before.
How do you stay hydrated during that?
Well, that's just it. So like the first year I attempted it, I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
My parents were my crew.
Yep.
And they were both like, you need to hydrate.
Yeah.
And so they would stop me and they'd force me to finish like a 30-ounce bottle.
Yeah.
Between going on to the next one.
Just get her done.
And like you carry the chest stuff.
Yep.
But the next year, something got off because I still drank a ton, but I lost 30 pounds
in that one race.
In that day.
God.
Because I left on Thursday.
Okay.
No. I weighed myself Thursday night or Friday morning.
Yeah.
And I was like 183, I think. And then the day after the race, after being in the ER for like 12 hours at this point, I weighed in after getting like 5 IV bags and drinking water and only peeing a very small amount.
Yeah.
I weighed like 162.
Oh my God.
And so we suspected it went down to like around like low 150s.
That's insane. That's one thing I've never done is weighed myself before and after a race. Kind of wish I would have.
Oh yeah, you lose a lot of weight.
Oh, I bet. It'd be interesting.
I'll lose like 5 pounds.
Yeah.
If I go for like a run in the winter, like
Yep.
a good long run in the winter where I bundle up well,
Yep.
I'll lose a lot of weight because
Really?
you sweat inside
So
those
much.
layers quite a bit.
Yeah.
But like, so that first year mentally
Yep.
built a ton.
Yep.
And like you wear your body down, but like the cups of my heels like fell off.
Really?
Yeah, like all the skin around the side of my heels, I couldn't wear anything but like Birkenstocks for like a week.
Holy.
And so that like quote unquote like hardened or calloused me a little bit.
Yeah.
And like it physically did.
Yeah.
Because now, go forward a year, like the nutrition went out the window, but I made it the same distance, 40 miles, into that race. And it was just as hot. And I think I had a couple blisters on me that day, but nothing crazy on my feet. And then the next day after leaving the hospital, granted, I had a bunch of IV bags and some painkillers, but I felt great.
Okay.
The reason they kept me as late as they did is because I could have gone back into the race. And they kept me to where I couldn't go back.
Like, yeah, he's got the crazy twinkle
yeah.
in his eye.
And so like physically, my at the end of the day, the only thing that felt terrible was the cramping.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like muscle soreness, joint soreness,
Okay.
like crazy. And then this next year, I had just agonizing stomach pain.
Okay.
So this is the year I finally finished it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like agonizing stomach pain that made me want to stop at the 40-mile mark again.
Yep.
But it was all mental.
Just powered through it.
Well, kind of. Like, it was... I was sitting in my friend's car who had, like, cooled seats.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like, cooling me off. AC was pumping. And it's like this... It's an 11-mile stretch in the middle of the race. Hottest part of the day.
Okay.
And you just bake in these valleys.
Yeah.
There's no, like, hardly any wind.
Yep.
Stomach turned to me, and I walked almost the entire 11 miles. And I'm like, at this point, 41 miles into the race, and I'm like, fuck, I can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like, only like 16 miles ago.
Yeah. Only.
But I've already done 40, you know,
Yeah,
so it seems like only.
Nothing.
And I was like, I'm going to quit.
Mm.
And the guy was like, you have 5 minutes to leave or else you're DQ'd.
Okay.
And as soon as he said that, I was like, I feel fine.
I'm good. Yeah.
It was instantly like I opened the door, got out, and I like jogged to the porta potty.
Yeah, there you go.
And it was because I had to take a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was so weird.
It's weird how you can snap out of it.
And I didn't have stomach pain the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Because that was around 6 o'clock.
Just mind over matter there.
And I finished at 11 that night. But
I think running a marathon in 3.5 hours is crazy. Wow. You know, that's, all right.
well, that like so the pace comes out to be like 13:45 or to 15-minute miles that day. And I took like very long breaks. My goal was not to win this race.
You did.
100%. My goal was to survive compared to 2 years before.
Yeah.
And I think I gained weight that day.
Yeah.
Because when I got back to Fargo, I weighed myself again and I was heavier. And that could have been because I drank a bunch the next day, but I didn't lose weight.
Okay.
And so I learned like how much you have to hydrate, take breaks, and then I didn't have a single blister.
Really? I've had races like that too. Yeah, that you didn't have any toenails that don't fall off. Yeah, I don't know. Equipment is everything, but maybe just get your form down so much better from one race to the next too. It's weird how it helps.
Yeah, and I think it just, and I said that whole thing because it's you have to build a mind and you have to build the body up to it, and that's not like totally true because you could say there's people like Goggins who run like 100 miles without training. Yeah. But you have to think about at the same time like he went through like SEAL training and whatnot before that.
Right.
And so like he in a sense he's hardened in a different way and it transfers.
Yeah.
Because I think that transfer goes from like I can do 100 or not, I can do a 58-mile run. If I can do that, I can do a thesis.
Right. It's insane what when you cross that finish line of a marathon, I mean, you did it for you and only you.
Yeah.
And it's one of those I'm proud of myself moments that I don't know, nobody can describe until you've done it. It's a trip. I think everybody should set some kind of goal like that because it's your confidence after that goes through the roof. Yeah. I mean, the only thing you do when you get done is, bask in the glory and then go home and where's the next one, Yeah. It's like, all right, let's keep her training. It's not over from here on out. Yeah. I do remember my second marathon was a nightmare because I did my first marathon and then I kind of just eased up hardcore on the training. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. It's like you really, because that was, my second one was Bismarck and the Bismarck Marathon in North Dakota. And that one is nothing special, but it's a half marathon double.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So the only good thing about it is you know where you're at after you've done it the first one. You're like, all right, mentally I know exactly kind of how hard I need to push myself. But they've got St. Mary's Hill, the college up there. It's like a mile uphill. Oh, so dang. Yeah, you get to do that twice. That's the only bad thing.
I say that sucks, but I think I would actually like that.
It's not horrible, but I mean, you do it one time and you're like, damn, that sucks. And, yeah, I get to do it again here
Yeah.
in the next hour and a half.
The first marathon, I've never actually ran like a marathon.
Really?
I've done several halves.
Yeah.
And I've done a few ultras now, but I've never done a marathon.
I think you'd kill him.
But I did do one on my own, like
Okay.
where I just ran a marathon.
Yeah.
When I was out in Columbus, and we had this mile running track.
Yep.
And then like half of it was closed. So I ran a mile to this running track.
Okay.
And then I just did 24
Yeah.
out and backs
Yeah.
on this half course. Did the whole thing in this one little spot.
Yeah.
And then went home and I was like, this sucks. I didn't have any of like the jubilation that comes from finishing a race.
Like, why did I do this?
I was just miserable at home by myself.
That was horrible.
And just sitting in my my tiny apartment. I was like, what the hell?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That too, just, I feel like in a race you go in your phases of mental strengths and weaknesses,
Totally.
The first, I'd say the first like 3 to 5 miles, you're kind of just trying to get your breathing down and you're get warmed up in essence and just get your pace going. And then you kind of get your mild cramps that you run out.
Yep.
I always would get mine like mile like 8 to 12 or something like that. It's like, I'm cramping up. This is way too early.
Yeah.
This is not, you're just freaking out. Like, is this going to get worse or can I run it out? And all of a sudden it's just gone,
Yep.
Kind of like your stomach problem, just boom. And then when I guess when you hit your wall, between like 16 and 21 or something like that, you're just like, why am I doing this? This is like this and that. This is so stupid,
Yeah.
But then you get that 3 or 4 miles left, and it's all easy street there. So
Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
you're just stoked, right?
and it's the same phase as in an ultra. You just might go through more.
Yeah.
Like mile 16.
Yeah.
Getting to mile 16 for the Madahe is like you do a 7-mile stretch, which is easy. It's the first thing of the day.
Yeah.
It's cool. You fly through it.
Yeah.
And then you do a 9-mile stretch after that. And by the time you get to the end of that, it's hot.
Yeah.
And it's like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
On that 9-mile stretch, I had to shit twice
Yep.
this year.
Yeah.
And it was like, this sucks. It's gonna be a long
What are we
day.
doing? Yeah.
Yeah. I lost my shirt because I
Yeah.
couldn't find the toilet paper I packed in my
Yeah.
bag.
Word of advice: don't try like GU energy shots or anything that you have not trained. Don't try those
totally.
on marathon day. That's a
We made our own now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my wife and I concocted our own little recipe,
Right on. Okay.
and it's elite. Like
It's
the stomach feels great.
yeah. Okay.
So like we've been taking them sometimes before we run, and it's like half hour before, like the same like timing as like the gels.
Yeah.
But it's no added sugar.
Yeah.
It's all like there's honey, which is like natural sugar.
Yep.
And then or fructose. No, I don't know what honey actually is. It might be fructose.
I don't know.
But whatever. And then it has like the chia seeds.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever read like Born to Run or so there's the audiobook Born to Run too.
Okay.
And it's like this Mexican running culture
Okay.
in like the deep valleys of middle northern Mexico.
Yeah.
That's their thing. It's like chia seeds soaked in water.
Really?
Yeah. And we use that as our base, and man,
That's
great.
it. It
I'm
works.
excited to try it in an actual race at
Right
some
on.
point.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
you have to give me some of that.
I definitely can. We have some. But that stuff has been like a game changer for just doing like some simple runs, and it just like settles your stomach.
Do you the night before? Do you just carb load like crazy? I'm one of those. Just make a massive plate of pasta. Just eat till you're absolutely miserable. I don't know if that does anything or not.
I think it does.
Yeah.
If you're used to eating that much.
Yeah.
Because like some people,
I overdo it. Obviously, just like it's like you're going against the Japanese thing where you just eat till you're not hungry anymore. I mean, it's straight up eat till you're absolutely completely miserable.
When I can't. My stomach's been awful for years.
Okay.
And pasta's one of the worst things for that. But I've been like figuring out my stomach recently, I think. And I was eating too much shit food, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think I could do it now, but I've always like shied away from pasta because that's what messed it up the most. But recently when I've eaten pasta, it's been fine.
Yeah.
And so I think I could do it. And I went to Olive Garden a couple of weeks ago. And I had a really good run the next day.
Yeah.
And it didn't upset my stomach. So I'm like, maybe Olive Garden's the ticket.
There you go. Just go to town.
I can make that excuse.
You know, it's okay. I got a question for you because I can't. After a race, are you hungry? Do you or not?
No.
I have to like force myself to eat. It's the worst thing in the world is food.
So like,
I remember my parents one time after my first marathon. My mom, my stepdad, they took me to Olive Garden, and I'm like, this is absolutely looks
miserable,
horrible.
Yeah.
I do not want to eat. My body's so tired; it doesn't even want to process food right now.
my parents crewed me for an ultra in Wisconsin, and like I think they spent in between each aid station. I think they went to go, and it was like southwest of Madison.
Yeah,
bunch of little cheese towns.
Mm-hmm.
Or like they had like their local cheese store, and so like they're like going to buy a bunch of cheese and drinking wine. In between each stop, and I finished. They're like ready to party, and I was like, I can't control my bowels.
Yeah, like sorry,
no interest in doing anything right now.
They're like, let's record this. This will be interesting.
And then we went to. My dad loves to go to REI.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Dangerous store.
Exactly. And he's like, let's go shopping. What do you want? What do you want? I was like, nothing. I'm just gonna lean against this cart and try to survive.
Please leave me be. I think chocolate milk's probably the only thing you can have. You know, it's like the greatest post workout thing you're supposed to have, and basically probably the only thing you can have. A couple orange slices and chocolate milk. Then they give you that one free beer in the beer garden, and you're just completely trashed.
Yep.
You're like, woo, life is good. Can't feel my legs, but we're happy.
I remember working after my first half marathon, which was like a huge accomplishment at the time.
Yeah.
I worked at Red Lobster that night, and then like I felt good afterwards right away. And then I was like, I can't work. It set in when I was at work later that day, and like my lower back broken.
Yeah,
I can't.
You know, it's funny. My first marathon, I've done 6 fulls. My first marathon was the easiest, fastest time, and I had literally no repercussions after. Like the next day, I think I trained the hardest for that one. It was Fargo, 2012, I believe.
Okay,
and
that'd have been right around the high time of the Fargo Marathon.
I think so, yeah. And I did it 3 hours and 32 minutes. That was my first marathon ever.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was shooting for a 4. And I remember I crossed the finish line, and I wasn't even winded. Just straight up, hey, how's it going? Cool. Not really stiff or nothing. I think maybe a day or two after. But I just remember the only thing I was like, my parents took me out to eat, and I just did not want to eat.
Yeah.
Like, the food looks absolutely disgusting to me right now. But after that, I think the 2 in San Francisco were probably my other really good ones. But then, so I've done Fargo twice, San Francisco twice, Bismarck, and then Santa Barbara, California. That one I almost dropped out of because, like you said, in the heat, they took us through a valley that was just blacktop, no wind, 100 degrees above you. And about mile 16, I hit the wall hard. And I kind of ran out of it until about mile 22. And I do remember I was an idiot, and I charged the first half. I think I set a PR for my half, which was dumb. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, come on, man, you got 13 more to go.
Yeah.
And, that one hit me hard. Mile 16, I vividly remember it. And, it took me a while. Those last 4 miles, too. I literally had this woman next to me, like, chewing my ass. Come on, you're not dropping out this. And
isn't it crazy? Like that some random lady can talk to you
you're not stopping. You're not stopping this and that. And I was kind of like hobbling, you know. And then here's too where the Santa Barbara Marathon finishes. It's at one of their community colleges out on the beach, and you run in, and it's like a football field with a track. So you run into the stadium, and then you got to like run around the track to the finish line. And I remember I ran into the stadium. I was so happy, but then I saw where the the finish line was, and it was one of the most pissed off moments I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you mean I gotta run like a lap around this football field? It was such a just highest peak to just lowest low.
Yeah.
And that was the only marathon or any race I've done where I crossed the finish line and I walked about 10 feet off the course and I just like laid down and they're like, do you need help? I'm like, I'm fine. Like, medics are ready if you do. All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
But that one was a doozy. That one.
An IV would have been nice after that one.
Yeah, that one caught up to me a little bit. I was worthless for a day or two. And you know what's crazy too is like when you just want to relax, but you can't sit still. Your legs, you just got to keep them moving or something like that. So I just want to go home. I took a really hot shower. I laid down. I was at my aunt's place and I'm like, I just want to sleep. I just want to pass out. But I have restless leg syndrome right now. I don't know what's going on. That's the one thing with marathons. I don't want to move for 12 hours, just leave me be, but I can't.
Yeah, and I remember this year we stayed at this hotel in Medora, and my two friends that came to crew us, they were just going to sleep in their car.
Okay.
And I was like, you guys can just take we have 2 beds in our room. Just take the other bed.
Yep.
And they're like, no, you're going to want that bed. I was like, I'll be fine. Either I'm the same every time. I always want to like completely spread out.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I bet I can share this bed. They're like, nah. And they got their own hotel room. I was like, thank God. Because that night, I couldn't stop moving. I had to be completely like sprawled out.
Yeah.
And your legs just don't stop.
No, they got a mind of their own that night. It's the weirdest thing ever.
But for those of you listening that want to do a marathon, it's great.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely
not
do
bad.
it. Do it. You will love the feeling like a day or two out later.
Yeah.
Just train really good for it.
So how long were you into running for then?
I must have started. So I was in college. I think it was before I was 21. I wish I would have. I would say 2010 is probably my first 5K. So I would have been about 20 years old. And then I took that really seriously until my last marathon, which was Fargo in 2021.
Okay.
So
quite a while.
I'd say a good 10 years. Yeah.
So when you started here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then you moved out to LA, correct?
I started off
Irvine.
I was working in Irvine and then living in Newport Beach, so about an hour south of LA.
So what was the transition from going from the Midwest here to Irvine like for you?
A wild animal. I mean, the city doesn't shut off. I mean, bar scenes are wild. It's just everything's there. It's just a whole I don't know how to explain it.
So maybe I'll have you track here like what I'm trying to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So when I left here to live in DC for 2 months, it was a huge culture shock of like how crammed everybody is.
Yep, that too.
And then like you can walk places.
Yeah.
You don't have to drive everywhere.
Yep.
And then also like that's when I used to be like a pretty hardcore conservative.
Okay.
Like my first 2 years of college, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit into my third maybe. But I was like, oh, everybody's cool.
Yeah.
As I just learned to accept everybody for who they were.
Yep.
And there's like people who annoy you, whatever.
Yeah.
But like just let everybody live their life. Everybody's just doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you when you leave like Fargo at least, and we had probably similar experiences. Like, oh, there's so many more different types of people.
There is. I think you kind of hit it right there. I think the thing about Southern California that I experienced in that area was I think you had to have a little bit of street smarts.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have that yet.
Okay.
That's what like the old saying. If I knew now what I did then, I mean, it'd be a whole different world. But coming from North Dakota friendly, North Dakota nice, you could trust everybody here. You couldn't out there.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't have too many bad experiences, but I just think you kind of had to keep your head on a swivel a little bit. Each man for themselves in a way out there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's, hey, welcome to the real world. It's not pretty. And that's just how it is out there. I think you kind of got stereotyped a little bit out there. Clicky was not all the time. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. It's just like anywhere else. But yeah, so many different kinds of people. And but I had a good time. I didn't. I think the only thing I didn't like about Southern California that much, where I was at, it's hard to get away from people. When I went to San Francisco Bay Area, you could get out in nature and get away from people. Southern California, it was just full on wherever you went, which is cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still liked it. I mean, it was the place to be, the hustle and bustling. I lived on the peninsula in Newport Beach, and every weekend, man, it was just a wild beach party wherever you went.
Yeah.
It was cool. I mean, I'm glad I experienced it. It was good.
So San Francisco, I've been there twice. One was like super brief. I was there for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Flew into San Jose. No, I flew into San Francisco. My friend flew into San Jose, so we had to go drive, get him.
Okay.
And then we came back into the city, went to the wharf,
Yeah.
as people do. And then
Tour Central.
Yep. Then we went to the bridge. Then we went to Facebook.
Right on.
Our friend was working at Facebook
I was
at the
down
time.
in Menlo Park then, probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
And super cool. That was a cool tour.
Yeah.
Then we drove to Missoula, Montana.
Got it.
So we picked up a friend in Oregon, went right out there. But the second time I was there was March. We were there over March 14th, I remember, of 2020.
Okay.
When COVID shut down California.
Yeah.
And so...
I was like, could you do anything out there?
No. Everything shut down while we were there.
100%.
And so, we were on spring break from Ohio State, and it got extended to another week while we were there.
Really?
And so we were trying to figure out, should I stay in California for an extra week with my buddy, or go back and try to figure shit out? And didn't really know what to do, but and it's hard to think about, but you say LA was so busy. My point of view of San Francisco is it wasn't crazy busy. And that could have been just because of COVID.
Yeah. I think it's a different craziness up there too. It's busy in parts, obviously, but I don't know. To me, it was kind of like a quiet town, but full of character.
Yeah,
I loved it. Every pocket of the city was a whole different world.
Yeah, and we ended up in some of these tiny little bars.
Yeah,
that were really cool because all we could do there is we didn't know where to go, hiking or anything. We didn't have a vehicle.
Yep.
And so we
good stuff. You just had to cross the bridge and go up into Marin County there. So
all we did was walk around the city and go to different bars.
Yeah.
And
that's the coolest thing about San Francisco.
Yeah.
You do not need a car there. I had plenty of friends that didn't have cars.
Yeah.
Just had their bicycles, rode the BART, Ubered everywhere because you could get across the town for like a $2 Uber. It was awesome, I mean, that's where Uber was from, so everything was super cheap. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, you could walk across the whole city in 2 hours if you wanted to. But no, I miss the place. It's a different story. But
yeah, so what ended up bringing you back to Fargo from San Francisco?
Well, I was in San Francisco before I went to Australia.
Oh, shit.
So I had met a good buddy through a coworker at my cousin's company down in Southern California. I'd been out there for probably 3-4 months. Didn't really know anybody. The office receptionist lady, she kind of took care of a bunch of stuff there. She was a host mom for this kid. He's my age, but Sam, and he's from England, Birmingham, England, and he would come over. Years ago, he came over to coach soccer, just in whatever, some kind of what am I trying to say, exchange or something like that, and coach soccer, visit USA and go on trips. But then there was people that could host these people, and she hosted him a couple of years, and then they just got to know each other, stayed in touch every time he came to the US. Hey, my door's always open, this and that. Yeah, and so I'd been out in California for 3-4 months, and he was visiting America with a buddy. They came to go to Coachella.
Oh, okay.
And he was staying for a couple extra days. And Ashley, the host mom, she said, "Hey, this 2 guys, I know them pretty well. I used to be their host mom. They're in town for a couple days. They don't know anybody. They kind of want to just have some fun before they head out. You don't know anybody. She like set us up on like a guy date.
Yeah.
Kind of, you could call it that, I guess. I was like, yeah, whatever, cool. So we all get together and just go out at night on the town, us three guys, and just have beers, whatever, have a good time. And he was in the tech industry, whatever. He left, and stayed in touch every time he'd come to the U.S. for like a work conference. He'd, hey, where you at? You wanna meet somewhere and just have a boys' weekend? So like one time he's had a big work conference in Boston. So I'm like, yeah, cool. Got round trip tickets for crazy cheap. I'll meet you out there. Went to Boston for a couple days.
Yeah.
And he came to California a lot. Obviously, his office or his company had offices all over. So got to know him pretty well. And then, yeah, it was it 2017? It was about this time, middle of December 2017. We were just chatting it up and called me up, catching up, and said, hey, just following up on life and stuff, where we're at and how's work going. And he said, well, yeah, my company, they want to start a division in Australia. So they want to send me there for like 2 years. And so I'm going to go down there. And I was like, wow, that sounds kind of cool. And I think he was just kind of BS. He's like, yeah, you should come. It'd be really cool. At least visit. I was like, you know what? I think I'll actually come with you. At that time, the winter before, I spent the winter up at Truckee. I was a ski bum.
Yeah.
And I knew a bunch of guys up there that they would chase the seasons. They go to Australia, New Zealand when it's summer here, it's winter down there. So they are all telling me how easy it is to get a visa, working holiday visa. So, if you got a clean record, $350, you can go there for a year. Gets you like a tax ID number and allows you to work and get a bank account. So I said, yeah, hold on. Let me ponder that idea for a minute. And I called a few buddies. And I was like, hey, tell me more about this Australia thing that you guys do, And like, here, they sent me the link. Here you go. Here's the visa application. It's 100 questions pretty much. And coming from America, they're like, all right, cool. You clean background check, whatever. And, instantaneously, $350, got a year-long working holiday visa. So it gets issued to you, and you have a year to use it, and it doesn't start until you actually step foot in the country.
Okay.
So I got it like 6 months before I went over there, and I said, yeah, let's do it. Might as well, man. And I went over there. His visa was a little tricky because his was like moving there with the company, so it takes months and lots of money.
Yeah.
So mine got approved before his, obviously, so I was going to wait, but then I decided to go before him. And so him and I, very good buddies. He's one of my best friends. And we're very type A and type B. I'm the kind of guy that I'll go backpacking and hitchhiking, this and that. He likes to stay in 5-star hotels.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, hey, I'm gonna go a few months before you. I'm gonna go 6 months before you and kind of do my thing because I know you're not gonna want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you make a lot of good money. I tend to eat ramen noodles sometimes because I have to. We're on two different worlds. And so I went there. I got there. I landed. It was like August 23rd, 2018, and the only thing I had set up was, I bought my one-way ticket there, and I booked a room at a hostel for 2 weeks straight. That was the only thing I had. So I got off the airplane. I went to the taxi person. I was like, "Where's this hostel?" They're like, "Get on that bus that'll actually take you to the front door." And I did. It was like a 45-minute bus ride to the front door, and it dropped me off. I was like, "Cool, here's home for 2 weeks."
Yeah.
And met a bunch of people there. I was definitely the older one there. It's a lot of fresh out of college and high school. Every country's different, I think America, you tend to go to college head on right away,
Yeah.
Other countries are very for gap years.
Okay.
I met a lot of people like, yep, I just finished primary school, high school, graduated, and I'm gonna party my face off for a year or two, and it's almost like encouraged,
Yeah.
So depending what country you come from, that was the coolest thing to hear about these other stories of where these people come from and what their views on lives are. But if anybody was gonna go do something like that, 100% go to a hostel and just meet everybody in the same boat you are in.
Yeah.
What are you here for? Oh, this is that. I'm here to clear my head, here to get a new focus on life. I'm just trying to get some demons out before I start life. Everybody's got a different view. So I did that, and my buddy Sam, he came over and visited because he could come in and out. He just didn't have his full-on living working visa yet. So we did some road trips there. He was there for like a week, and then just did the hostel thing. Met a couple guys there. Well, sorry, before I got that, I was introduced to a guy, a pretty large farmer in Western Australia. Big wheat farm. It was like 15,000 acre farm.
Okay.
And the thing about agriculture work over there, it's very big and prominent. Their wine industry, the vineyards, and their small grain industry, huge. And Australia offers visa programs where if you work in, it's called regional work or rural work, if you work for 88 days, or call it 3 months, outside of the cities on a farm or something like that, they will give you an opportunity to get a second-year visa. And in your second-year visa, if you do that for 6 months, you can get a third-year visa. So you could kind of you could kind of hop around and stay there for quite a while if you really wanted to. So I was talking to a guy that my buddy Sam knew. He was actually like an ag consultant, and he's like, geez, if you grew up on a farm, you've got experience. Have you looked into that second-year visa program? I said, not really, but he's like, well, I got a guy that you should go work for him and get that second-year visa just to have in your back pocket. Kind of gave me a wink, I was like, all right, cool. So I got the job. It was in Esperance, which is like a 10-hour drive, like southwest of Perth, but we were in Melbourne. So, and if people don't know, Australia is just about the same size as the United States. I think the U.S. is like 300 miles wider.
Okay.
Actually, if you put the map over it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because Aussies there, I'll say, I don't know why everybody thinks we're like the size of Hawaii, we're like the size of you guys,
Yeah.
So it's quite a ways. But after the hostel thing, I was in Melbourne at the hostel for about, I'd say 3 weeks. And Australia is an expensive country. I would just equivalent it to living in California. You're drinking $9-10 beers. Hotel rooms are kind of expensive. Hostels are cheap, obviously. I think I was paying like $17 a night. But food's expensive, drinks are expensive, and when you don't have money coming in, it goes quick. So I met a couple buddies and we're like, boys, this is great, but we don't have jobs. We gotta hit the road. I've got a job lined up, but it doesn't start. That was in August. September we left, and I had a good month and a half. I didn't need to be there till like the middle of October. So we're like, yeah, we got jobs in Western Australia too. Well, cool. Let's put the old thumb out and try our luck at hitchhiking. So the next day, that was about it. Had that conversation over a beer, and one backed out, and the other guy, Chris, him and I were like, yeah, cool, let's do it. We got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so we took the train as far as it went west. We got off at Geelong, and then we took a bus. I think we hitchhiked for about a half hour before we were like, this kind of might not be fun, And we had really heavy bags that were not really backpacking bags either, so the back was really hurting. Caught a bus down to Torquay. That's where Rip Curl headquarters is. So they got a big surf community. They got the Rip Curl Pro, awesome spot, absolute paradise. And we had our first lunch there, and we kind of just kept trekking on, and always meeting people along the way. I know we went from, so we'll call it Melbourne, Geelong, Torquay area. From there to Adelaide is what we hitchhiked actually, which is about 450 miles.
Okay, I'm gonna look this up.
What's up?
Keep talking.
Okay.
I'm just going to look it up.
And we got 10. I had a journal with all the information on it of every rider, the guy, every person who picked us up and gave us a ride, their name, kind of life story. That's what we would do at night after the day hitchhiking. We would journal our stuff. And I lost it somewhere. But we got 10 rides from Torquay to Adelaide, about 450 miles. And our last ride was from some guy taking kind of a couple long sabbatical work trip from New Zealand, and he was really cool. He hung out with us for a few days, but we didn't have too many crazy experiences for hitchhike or people giving us rides. There was a couple guys. We were out in the country, and it was really early in the morning, and they're way too hopped up than the average guy, and I think meth is kind of a thing out there too. Okay. So we definitely got dropped off and looked at each other like, I think that guy was tripping a little bit, but nothing too crazy. And once we got to Adelaide, hung out there for a couple days, And I think Adelaide, fun fact, I think is the serial killer capital of Australia.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's got kind of a dark past.
Did you feel that when you were there?
No, it was
Okay.
they call it Perth and Adelaide. They call them country towns.
Yeah.
So they're big cities with a couple million people, but very quiet. Not really
Okay.
much nightlife. Very kind of just, I don't know, homey downtown feeling. It was nice, nice cities. But then we rented a giant motorhome, and me and this Chris, and then that one buddy I told you backed out. He ended up flying to Adelaide because he was going to get some work out there.
Yeah.
Well, he saw how much fun we were having, so he quits the day before his job is supposed to start, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna come with you guys on your road trip adventure now." So we rent which is great, cool. More people, less money that we all have to put out, you know. So yeah, we get this giant like Mercedes motorhome, and here's the cool thing. Here's a travel hack for people if you want to do kind of one-way travels. Rental car companies, you can work for them for like free rentals. So say in our instance, Adelaide had a rental car that Perth needed.
Oh, okay.
So they'll make a deal with you. You're like, hey, you only want to do, if you're not bringing it back, we have fleets that need to be relocated. Yeah. So, okay, what do you guys want? Who's all with you? Like, we just need to get to Perth, give us something cool, whatever. What do you need? And they got this really nice Mercedes motorhome, brand new. They need it over there. I don't think ours was 100% free. And then when they do that, they obviously you can't just go on a crazy joyride. They actually monitor your miles a little bit, but we could still have some fun. Yeah. And basically all we really had to do was pay for gas and a really small fee. They're like, all right, cool. So now you're kind of working for them. That's the way to do it, and I think they do that everywhere. And I actually met a guy, that was his backpacking job, was just relocating vehicles. They paid him really cool. And like, hey, you're in Sydney, drive that across the country to Perth, and then fly back home and just move vehicles. That's all he did. Did pretty well, too. Cool trip. He's like, I got paid a road trip. I'm like, hell yeah, you hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we drove, I can't remember what the miles was. It was probably like 2,000 miles from Adelaide to Perth across the Nullarbor, which is a 2-lane highway, just going straight across Australia. I mean, you'd go hours without seeing anybody. Our cell phones didn't work for about 4 or 5 days. My mom was probably tripping.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we got to Perth and worked at a trade show for a little bit. I was barbecuing chicken at this, it was like a state fair stand. So my buddy's job, Chris, that was his job. He met a guy. He's like, yeah, cool. We got like a fast food joint kind of stand out this county fair, and he told them I was going to come with. They said they'd find something for me to do, so I flipped chicken in the back for like a week, and I made some pretty good money, man. I walked off like $2,500 for like a week, just flipping chicken in the back. No idea what I was doing. I mean, we were working like 12-hour days at this like county fair, and just straight up end of day cash in hand. Here you go. And once that gig was done, Chris and I, the original guy who we hitchhiked with, and Darren was the guy that hopped in at Adelaide, but then he left right after. He just kind of hung out with a few days. That's just kind of how he was. And so Chris and I, after that county fair thing, kind of road tripped up went north of Perth probably a couple 100 miles, and then went back down, split up. I think he went over east to Sydney for a gig. And then I still had a few weeks left to kill before the farming gig started. So I knew I wanted to go down to Margaret River. It's a famous surf spot, and really big wine country too. So that is south of Perth, about 2 hours. So I hopped on a Greyhound bus, went down there, hung around there for like a week or two. And that's when I bought a car off a guy for $300. It was cool. I was just walking around one day, and just a little Honda Civic sitting on the side of the road, $350. Phone number spray painted on a piece of wood and everything. I called him, no answer. Text him, no answer. I was like, oh man, super bummed,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm taking a nap and I get this call, and some drunk guy calls me up. He's like, hey, you want to buy my car? I was like, yeah, man. So, well, yeah, cool. Like, let's meet up. All right. Yeah, come over. He comes over. I mean, this guy is just so pie-eyed, whatever, you know. And it needs some work. And the thing about Australia is everything on your car has to be working. It has to be roadworthy, as they call it. Like, you can't have a broken windshield. Your tires have to have so much tread on it. Your exhaust has to be perfect. If there's too much rust, you can't drive it. Like, that's how strict they are. And this car needed some work. I'm like, there's no way this thing's roadworthy. But whatever, that's $300. So he wanted $350. He comes in. He's like, let's take it for a test ride. You know, he jumps in with an open beer. And I'm just dry. I'm like, this is so illegal. Australia has some of the harshest driving rules around, you know. So he cruised around, and I was like, try my negotiation skills, you know. Probably could have got it for cheaper, but he was drunk. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, man, this car needs quite a bit of work. You know that.
Yeah.
I'll just give you, I got $300. Take it. Yep, cool. He writes me out a receipt. You know, I still have it. It's a little souvenir. So I drive this, I have this thing, and oh man, life is good. I was so happy. Went to the gas station, you know, like cleaned it out really good. I'm cruising around because the famous spot at Margaret River, the town is like 10 miles inland, and then the surf spot and the coast is like out there. So I'm like, cool, I got a car, man. I can drive out there. The thing about the exhaust is it wasn't on there, so it was super loud. I mean, I was definitely not stealth driving. You could hear me a mile away, and people were like, I'm missing a front license plate, like totally illegal. So whatever. So I hung around there for a while, and then I was telling you I had like a 10-hour drive to that farmer, and I just kind of cruised, spent like a couple days just driving from Margaret River down to Esperance and sleeping on the beaches. Had a tent, I bought a tent too, and living out of the car for a little bit, and then I pull up to the farmer's house, and he's like, where'd you get this? He's like, oh, no license plate, just kind of looking at it. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Told him the story I just told you, and he's like, that car does not leave if you're working for me. I'm like, got it, you know. And then when I worked for him, I worked for him for about 2.5 months. I gave it to his right hand man. He was like, here you go, here's a go-kart for you. They had a junkyard. I'm pretty sure it's sitting out there right now. But that was a trip, man. Yeah, it was fun as hell. It was different.
And so, how long did you stay at the farm for? The whole time?
I didn't finish my 88 days. I got there. I think I started working for him. It was like October 15th. And we worked. I know we left December 23rd because he told me, he's like, Christmas Eve, he had a flight to Bali. So the farmers down there, they're like, I'm done. I'm not, you know, our season will be done come hell or high water by Christmas because I'm fucking off to Australia or Indonesia for a month, you know. And that's what they do. They straight up just park their machine and they're like, we're going to go just eat and drink, have a good time. So we worked like round the clock for a good 2 months, but then I still didn't have enough hours to get my 88 days, or I didn't have enough days. So then I was like, oh man, what am I going to do? You know, I did all this work. I left with some really good money. Took care of me really well. He used to have backpackers all the time. He had like a little guest house, and his wife, she'd just whatever, go shopping every day. What do you want? This and that. I'll fill up your fridge and everything. I mean, I didn't carry my wallet around for 2 months. It was perfect. Kept really good care of us. I don't think he does the backpacker thing too often anymore because I think a lot of people would lie. Yeah, I can drive that tractor, and they get in and just it turns out to be a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
So it was actually a little touch and go for him to hire me because I think like I said, I think he had some really bad experiences in the past, and this guy vouched for me. He's like, hey, he grew up on a farm. He actually knows how to drive these machines. So like, all right, just because his really good friend vouched for me, I got the job. But he was an interesting bird to work with. I mean, he could be from work to when you knocked off work, two different dudes. I mean, he was just the hardest dude to work for. I mean, you swear he'd chew your ass so bad or this and that. You thought he was going to kill you. But then as soon as you clocked out, like, hand you a beer and cheers you. Good work today. I'm like, I thought you were going to kill me an hour ago. You know, it's one of those guys, which whatever. Hey, you know, each their own. It worked out. And I think we all kind of, you know, figured out how to tiptoe around there without, you know. So then I needed like a month. I needed like 25 days actually to finish my visa program to qualify. So they don't have Craigslist over there. It's some other website. I cannot remember what it's called. But I found a guy on there, and it's like, hey, this is my situation. I just need X amount of days. And I was telling you earlier, he was a woofer. Do you know what woofers are?
No, I don't.
Oh, maybe it was somebody else. Where you like work for room and board. There's a program. So he was one of those. He's like, well, I can't pay you, but we can come up with some kind of arrangement.
Yeah.
So he's like, I know what situation you're in. I'll figure it out. So this guy, him and his wife, and he had a couple kids. They had a hobby farm, and he was some kind of engineer, and his wife was like some kind of psychologist or something. So they had normal jobs, but then they just had this little hobby farm that they wanted somebody to work for free for room and board. So that's what I did. So I said, all right, cool. So then I got rid of my car. So I had this whole lined up. I was like, this guy's going to pick me up. He's in Bustleton now. So I'm basically going back up to Margaret River and then north about an hour. So right between Margaret River, Perth. Awesome area, right next to the coast. Surf, wine industry, awesome. So I got rid of the car, flew from Esperance, where the farm was, to Perth, back up there. And then I took another Greyhound down to Bustleton. And this guy meets me and gets out of his car. And remember the Forrest Gump? He's kind of got those like braces and stuff.
Yeah.
Same exact thing happened. He had like a surgery where he couldn't walk anymore, this and that. And first thing I offered, like, I have no idea who this guy is. The old guy, his name's Andy McDonald. And he's probably 60, 65. And, hey, how you doing? This and that. And he's about 5'2". And, you like ice cream? I'm like, what did I just get into? Like, no idea. Well, all right, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, cool. Yeah, ice cream's great. All right, cool. Let's go get ice cream. Turned out after getting to know the guy, he loves ice cream. That's just like, hey, cool. This guy could live on it. Takes me to a gas station, gets me like an ice cream pop, and then we drives out to the farm. I meet his whole family and shows me his little hobby farm. They got like pigs and chickens, a couple cows. And I'm just going to take care of this little hobby farm while they're at work. And where I was living at, the back, a camper that you put on the back of a pickup, you back under. Yeah. So they had one of those out of the pickup on its stands in a shop. and that's where I lived. so I didn't get to stay in the house. I lived in this guy's like camper that was on its stilts in a just random shop.
Something, I guess.
I mean, it worked, man. It was actually really comfortable. I had my privacy. It was great. And then the shop had its own full bathroom and stuff. So I got to go inside every night, eat some dinner, and they'd always have some beers for me. And I just had to basically tend to their animals like 2-3 times a day. It was great. I mean, easy living. But then I ended in my car, and I was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So they were probably like 5 or 6 miles away from town. So it was good. They just had odds and end projects and everything. But how they made the whole situation work, their accountant was just like, you know what, write him like a fake invoice, write him a check, and then just have him give it back. And that's what I did. I was like, I'll work for free. It's fine. I'm just looking for days just so I can get this program signed off. And that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Because the way the Australian government works now is you have to like submit your paychecks and stuff. Because back in the day with that visa program, there was kids that would go up to farmers and be like, hey, if I give you like a couple $100, can you just say I worked for you and sign this piece of paper that says I worked for you for 3 months all day long? So now you got to send them like your bank statements and your paychecks, and they got to record it and all. So I got that approved, and by that time it's end of January, early February. I left the McDonald's and flew back to Melbourne, and then now my buddy Sam, he got his visa approved, and I locked down an apartment for us. So now we're back in the big city of Melbourne. Now I got to find a real job. So expensive times, but met some people. Ended up working for they're a marketing company for franchises.
Okay.
So if you're interested in buying like a Ben and Jerry's or something, you could Google it, and we would take care of like those advertisements and stuff. It was really interesting, But I did that for a bit, about 6 months. And the thing about that working holiday visa, they kind of have some regulations. You're not supposed to work. You can't actually work for the same company for more than 6 months.
Okay.
And that just kind of prevents you from taking good jobs from the Australians. But there's so many loopholes around that. But I did that for the first 6 months. Then I had to leave that one. And then I worked for, it was a really interesting company. It was a small finance company. So I was just working with a few mortgage brokers, doing cold calls, kind of customer service. And I couldn't say too much about finance, obviously, because I wasn't certified or licensed or anything. I could just tell you what it does, per se. But, and then COVID happened. So I was at that job for about 8 months, and then COVID happened, locked all of Australia down like crazy. I mean, the last 4 or 5 months there, I couldn't do anything. I left in June 2020, and I mean, you could go to the liquor store and the grocery store, and that was about it. And then Melbourne, where I was at, they actually have seasons. So their winter is like Seattle, just gray, 40 degrees, and it's like, you know what, I'm ready to go home anyways right now. So got back here to North Dakota in June, July 2020, and I had my bags packed. I was gonna drive back out to California. I called all my buddies, and they're like, don't come out here, man, unless you got something lined up. Yeah. COVID screwed this whole state up right now. I mean, everybody's...
North Dakota was crazy compared to, like, by June, it was back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really... When I got here, I was like, I thought it was just kind of like that everywhere else. But like, California's bad, man. I mean, a lot of my friends, they left. They kind of went to their home states. They were kind of transients, moved out there just like I did. And like, when COVID happened, everybody either got laid off or it just became really, you couldn't do anything, so nobody was really out there, and they were just word of advice, I wouldn't just show up there like you did before. I mean, you had a job, but it's gonna be really tough if you think you're just gonna rock up out there and start applying for gigs. So no, never made it back out there, and 4.5 years later, here we are still. Got married, so I think it all worked out, to be completely honest.
So did you meet your now wife when you moved back?
Met her here, yes, I did. Dated a little bit, as you do, and then went out with my best friend here, and she was a bartender at that time, and small talk turned into getting married a month and a half ago. So we've been together for a little over 3 years now. Nice. Married about a month and a half ago now, which is crazy. Feels like yesterday. So how long have you been married now exactly?
February.
So. Dang. That's coming up quick already.
Yeah.
I can't believe. I remember when you said you got married. Jeez.
It'll be crazy because, like, I feel like I shouldn't have a wedding anniversary.
I know. I think Annie and I think we're the two that are like, I think that's going to be not really a thing for us. I think we'll kind of like, hey, wake up, give each other a high five. Hey, happy anniversary. Do whatever. And then maybe just, I don't know. Just knowing her and I don't think we'll treat it too crazy. But
I think it'll be, Avetta will want to do something.
I think that first
I'm a little bit more of that side.
I could see us doing the the 1 year and like the every decade kind of anniversaries. But I think just knowing us, I think we'll just kind of like give a shoulder shrug, like, cool, made it another year. Hey, see you next year. Whatever.
No, it's cool though. Like, it's, in one sense, like, nothing actually happens. But like, there's a lot of meaning behind it.
You're right. I think that,
And I thought it was like, I remember my wedding day as so fun.
Ours was awesome. I had so much stress and pressure, and it just, I was actually dreading it, like
I was dreading it too. I was not chill.
No, my way to describe it to people is Annie and I are two people that would never throw like a party for ourselves. So that was my anxiety. I don't want to be like the center of attention. I would never expect people to come to my house and just be partying for me. So
well, I'm not one who wants to, like, I don't really party. And then
me too. I've kind of
I don't host anything.
Me neither. The older I get, dude, I'm a hermit. I mean, you and I, we work in the service industry, so there is our fixation of getting personal with people and having that extrovertness. And just like Annie and I, when it's clock out time, it's like, I want my dog and my couch and just shut the blinds. It's just I want me time. You know, and
no, that's nice about the service industry, and like service industry is a small part of what I do now.
Yeah,
but like you can just completely check out.
100%.
It's so nice, and my part-time job, working for True North Steel, is hourly.
Yeah,
and so I can still do it for that.
Yeah,
because like my job there is to like think of ideas and execute them for them. And so I can, in a sense, like completely check out because when I'm thinking, I can clock in, which is super nice. But then like grad school is always just this looming thing in the background. Like you have so much to do. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't need to work at Junkyard.
Yeah.
But when I go there for 2 hours on a Saturday or a Friday night, I can completely check out.
Yeah.
I'll socialize with people.
It's good. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a couple people, Justin too. He's just say, it's nice to just get a little different scenery every now and then, and you get paid for it.
Well, the thing is, like, I was having a philosophical conversation with a classmate yesterday, and it was simply about, I can't remember the exact wording it was, but like, it was something about like ethics, and we don't think in the academic world, a lot of ways, we don't think in, here's the word. It's a lot of virtue ethics in academia. Okay. And it's just like, how should people talk and how should people be?
Right.
And then, but that's not like the real world. It's everybody's so different.
Very.
And I can go to True North Steel and everybody's like trying to act super professional. That's how they think they should be. Yep. You just go to a bar on the weekend and you work and you just pour beer, and it's like, for somebody might not be we might run out of a beer.
Right.
And they're like, okay, give me a different one.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like, oh, you got Bud Light?
Problem averted,
Yeah. And then like, you got Bud Light? Nope. And they're like, okay, sounds good. I'll just take your lightest beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's so relaxing, and it's so like easy going there.
I'm not gonna lie, it's been a good change,
Yeah.
I took a 180. I went from construction, plumbing, to pouring beer and working in a brewery.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I wish I didn't do that, but I don't know. I'm having a good time. I don't know.
You still help out with some construction stuff around the brewery.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. There's always a honey to-do list. And I love the flexibility. We're in charge of our own schedule, which is great. It's not just Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, cut and dry. I envy people with... I would take freedom over money any day.
Yeah.
I look at my buddy Sam, who I worked with in Australia, one of my best friends. I envy him immensely because he's worked very hard, but he's full remote. Nice. Last year he wanted me to come, but I just couldn't make that trip work. But him and his wife now did a 7-month sabbatical all around South America. And he was working the whole time. He had his computer.
Yeah.
But, if I could go back to school and setting goals for myself and really getting exactly what I want out of life, I would have taken anything just to have a job that's full remote. But I don't think that was really a thing when I was going to college.
I don't think
full remote was really a thing you even heard of. I would say till 2015, 16, 17 area where... Like, what do you mean? I feel like full remote wasn't a thing until you were like a senior position in a company. You weren't getting hired right out of the gates to just, here's your computer, sit at home on a couch. That happened when the internet really, came to fruition and really transpired into something huge. So I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know that was a thing. But after living in San Francisco and Silicon Valley area and meeting all these buddies that... with tech industries, you don't have set hours per se. You have assignments. Yeah. So I had some friends that worked at Google, and I'm like, what are you doing partying your face off on a Tuesday? And they're like, bro, don't you got to go to work at 8. They're like, it doesn't work that way. I have an assignment. Like, I have a deadline, so
Yeah.
I can take tomorrow off if I want. But regardless, I'm going to be sitting at home with my feet up with my
Yeah.
computer. I'll be working, but I'm
Yeah.
like, man, all right. It was like, how do I get that?
That's
So,
what I've been chasing.
yeah.
For the last like 3 years.
100%. I mean, that's the goal right now. People say, what do you want to do? Like, to be honest, I don't really care, just as long as all I can do is with a computer, because if I can just have Wi-Fi and travel the world, like, we're going to win the lotto.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, I don't want to be on the road all the time.
Right.
I would just like the ability to be on the road if I wanted to.
Right.
And like, if I could get a slight increase in pay and maintain my status at True North Steel after my degree's done, I'd probably just do that.
Yeah.
Because I can clock in wherever.
That's just it. It's just like, if you're telling me I can do my job whenever I want to, take some time off whenever I want to, and still just maintain a good relationship, and hey, I'm in. So that's why I like doing this thing at the brewery right now. It slows down. Hey, if I can get off the clock for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
you know, it's no work, no pay. But that's on me. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll work 6 days a week for 6 months and save up, and then go create an experience that you know. So that's why we're going to Vietnam for 3 weeks, and it'll be a trip. I don't really know what to expect.
What are you most looking forward to there? There has to be something like you've looked up or.
Yeah. Ha Long Bay. I want to go check that out. I don't think it's exactly one of the 7 wonders of the world, but it's something we're definitely going to go check out. Northern Vietnam, up in Sapa. Man, there's so much stuff. Obviously, like the war museums, too, I've heard are pretty cool. Go check out the Hanoi Hotel. I think they got a big thing on Senator McCain when he got captured. He was a POW, you know? And I guess they call it the American War over there. But I guess the museum there, kind of like the Holocaust Museum in D.C., I guess it's pretty heavy. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. But just the nature of it all. I've been to Bali, Indonesia 3 times now, and absolutely love it. I would tell anybody, if you're a novice traveler, go there, because it's small, easy to navigate. People are super friendly, very cheap, and yeah, I think Vietnam is going to be a little bit tricky to navigate, just logistics wise, because it's such a large country. We've kind of tried to plan as much as we could, but the moving from place to place to place is kind of preventing us from that, because it's like, are we taking the night train? Well, then we don't have to get a hotel room because we're sleeping on the train. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to navigate, and that's why I think we're just going to resort to just going with the flow. It'll be fine. Yeah. You know,
it'll buff at some point.
We'll figure it out, man.
Yeah. That's cool.
I'm stoked. So, you got any big trips planned?
So we have 2 weddings that we really want to go to. Yeah. One's in Colorado, one's in Oregon. And it's like 2 groups of our really good friends, like both of them in the wedding are. And so we can't really miss those. And so that'll be a big trip we do this summer.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I'm hoping to do like a week and a half off, 2 weeks off for it.
Just hit them both in the circuit kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. My original plan was to go to Mount Baker, Washington, and do like an alpinism course. Yep. And then do it. I don't know if that's going to work out. Because that's like a 6-day intensive course.
That would be cool.
But so do that, and then I think we're going to try to go somewhere for spring break.
Nice.
And then Costa Rica in the fall.
Nice.
That's the goal.
Hell yeah.
But
fun. I always got to keep something on the book. That's kind of my goal. It's like, as soon as we get back, start looking. Annie's thinking of Scotland. She wants to do Scotland.
Scotland would be sick.
Yeah, I've heard good stuff. For some reason, that's the...
Norway would be cool.
I've got a buddy that's done all of those, like Finland, Norway, Sweden. Yeah, all those Nordic areas. I guess it's a trip, but I think they're pretty pricey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty high class out there. And that's what I like about Southeast Asia and all those places. It's so cheap. If anybody's looking for a good long-term trip, check out Southeast Asia. Anywhere. Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Indonesia, Philippines. You're talking $5 to $20 hotel rooms that are nice. I mean, It's insane. That's why you can take those long trips. We
Yeah.
wanted to do like a 3-week road trip, but around the country here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I couldn't swing it. It's cheaper for us to go across the world and hang
Yeah.
out over there.
It's so expensive to
It's nuts.
do a lot of that stuff in the U.S.
Yep. Airbnbs are not cheap anymore.
No. So like, we've thought about like outfitting our vehicle
Yeah.
to sleep in it, make it easier.
Well, that helped a lot. We had our Ford Explorer. We built a bed and everything in it.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Yep.
We haven't done that quite yet, but that's the goal, is to have like either like get like a F-250 after I graduate, put a sliding camper in it.
Yeah.
Or do like a van setup, like a van of setup.
Yeah. I just wish our van was more fuel efficient, because that thing is just. It was fun. I think I just need to find a place to park it and have like a little shack, you could call it. I think that's kind of.
Oh yeah, your shuttle bus.
Yeah, old people
sick.
mover.
You
It's
still
great.
Keep at your in-laws right now.
It's at the parents down at the farm in Wapaton.
Okay.
So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I got some work to do on it this winter, but we didn't get to use it last year just because we had so much going on. So, just kind of trying to save up for our wedding, and then we went to Bali for my buddy Sam's wedding. So, it kind of fell on our laps, very unintentional, and I knew we weren't going to be able to use it to its full extent, but oh well.
So cool.
It's awesome. It was fun.
Yeah.
So we'll get to use it over the years anyways.
Man, when you were buying that last year, we looked at school buses a lot.
Yeah.
Like the small school buses. And I was so close, because like you can get those like $5,000.
They don't want them.
Same
Yeah,
price.
they don't want
It's
them.
like,
I was told junkyards don't want them because the floor is wooden.
yeah.
So they can't put them in their crushers.
Oh.
So it takes a lot of manpower and labor to take that out before they can actually dispose of
Gotcha.
them. So that's why they're just like, yeah, even that bus I got, that's got a wood floor too.
Yeah.
It's great for building because you just zip screws right into
Yeah.
it. It's like 1-inch thick plywood. It's awesome. So it's like they were made to have a second life. Those little
Cool.
buses. Yeah, that's the best thing about them. So
We met a couple when we were climbing this, maybe May, I think, June, down in Black Hills.
Okay.
And it was these two girls moving from Denver back to Maine.
Okay.
They were living out of their van in Boulder, Denver.
Nice.
And they're moving up to their farm in Maine that they bought. And they had it set up sweet.
Yeah.
Just a sweet. But they're like, we're just going to stop here for a few days and climb in Black Hills.
What I would like to do, do you have, I'll just ask you, do you have like a dream trip that you would like to do, or some crazy adventure on your bucket list before you die sometime?
Some type of like alpinism would be my
like
thing.
live out in the backwoods or something?
No, like climbing like Everest, or like
Right on.
climbing
Okay.
Denali.
Would you do Everest if you ever had the chance?
100%.
Me too. If you had
Yeah.
the money and somebody actually willing to like guide you and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
100%.
Heard the average trip Everest expedition's like $60,000.
So like I heard that's so there's a guy I follow on Instagram, and his wife's like a professional climber and he's a professional guide, and he has his own company, and it's $60K for his trip.
Really?
But that's like a really nice one.
Yeah.
There are ones, so like with social media and whatnot,
You just find a cheap Sherpa.
you
or
fly a
whatever.
Sherpa will lead his own guiding course for like $10,000.
Really?
But it's
Okay.
like sketchy.
Yeah. But then just your own personal equipment, though.
Yeah.
I mean, your oxygen tanks. I mean, your full get up is like $10,000 probably. You know?
Yeah.
So.
And then it's like 3 months unless
Yeah.
you pre-acclimatize.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think it'd be awesome. Can you imagine saying that? Like, yeah, it's like you climbed K2 or Everest, one of those two. It's like,
yeah.
I think my bucket list trip would be, I would love to, like, live out of a van for like a year and just cruise around, just do the bus living, like straight nomadic camping for 1 year. I think that'd be awesome.
We've thought about it a lot, of like going full remote, either or. Like I have two friends that I haven't like talked to them for a long time now, but they did van life for 2 years, had a baby in like not in the van, but like while living in the van, and then ended up upgrading to a bigger pickup and a pull behind.
Yeah.
And that's what they like for their family.
I think I guarantee if I found something full remote, I think I would end up just slowly migrating to that. Like, you mean I don't have to like come into a place every day? Like, all I gotta do is have this router and a computer. Like, I mean, I got a bus here. All I gotta do is gas it up.
Yeah,
you know? I'm just gonna pick a direction and go.
Yeah, they were from the Crookston area, I think,
Yeah.
and I think they spend most of their time in Arizona.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, I would just follow the seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be absolutely incredible. I mean, even in the wintertime, you could do it too. I mean, there's so many companies that make sleeping bags that are, you know, when I worked at Squaw Valley, I had buddies live in vans out in the parking lot for the whole season. And how they, like, you know, people are like, well, how do you shower? Well, you go stand next to the entrance of the hotel, and when somebody comes out, you kind of just kick your foot in the door and you sneak in, you know, and then you go to like the public, like the pool room shower kind of. So they would do that a couple times of the week, or just straight up ask them. They'd be like, hey, can I, you know, just hold the door open, I need a shower.
Yeah.
I mean, just total dirtbag status. It was great. I mean,
that's awesome.
It's fun to do that because, you know what, I got out of it. You realize you really don't need much to get by.
I would like to get not forced into something like that, but just have something where I can just experience it. And that's why I kind of want to do this forest fire thing.
I think that'd be awesome, man. I was looking into that too. Well, and that was a lot of, I was telling you too, after the, you know, after the winter season up in, you know, the Sierra Nevadas, there's wildfire season up there. So when, you know, skiing's done up in Tahoe, a lot of those guys too. Those are like the good paying jobs for those guys. Yeah. Become firefighters and stuff. And they're just extinguishing stuff all day long. But
extinguishing or just digging lines?
Digging lines, I think, is what they're doing, yeah.
Yeah. And that's just make 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Overtime.
That's, I was going to say, just raking in. And then basically take the winter off and work at a ski resort. It's like, you're not making money there. Like, I'll admit, I was just having fun. It was great. It was great, you know. But there's something about mountain towns, man. It's awesome. It's a whole different world out there.
Yeah.
And everybody's just on cloud nine.
Yeah.
That or they're smoking a lot.
Just living the good life.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was a good time.
Wow. But I don't know. We're at an hour and a half. Or hour and 45 right now.
Wow.
Yeah. We can probably wrap it up.
Yeah, that was good, man. Appreciate you.
Anything you want to leave with?
Don't think too hard about things. If there's something you want to do, you know, make a progressive decision.
When you're traveling, you just book a flight, and that like kind of sets you in.
You know, I do a little research, nothing too crazy. I'd say the biggest thing is make sure you're not going to some dodgy country. You know, look up your safety hazards. I know in the Asian countries that I've gone to, people are saying, you know, the only thing you got to worry about is pickpocketing. You know, I'm a 6 foot tall Westerner from the Western world. Said, people I've talked to, like, nobody's gonna mess with you. You're gonna be fine. I mean, don't walk down too many dark alleys, but no. Travel. I love it. It's my drug. If I could do it for a living, I would. If you know anybody who wants to pay somebody to do it, I'm your guy.
But you have a wife now too.
I got a wife, and she's all for it. I think if you get her on the boat, so 2-for-1 special. All right, we can even split the salary,
double the work.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah, we'll report back to you. But no, I love it. Hope to do as much as I possibly can. So I think it's been good so far.
Right on. You can call it there.
Appreciate you having me on, man.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. I had a lot of fun with Tyler, and I hope you all did too. But yeah, find him on the socials and give him a follow, or go check out Junkyard. You'll see him there usually in Moorhead, I think. But beyond that, if you want to try out one of our new endurance formulas with the Endurance Company, reach out and I can get you a sample. Beyond that, if you want to have some leadership and development work done with the Endurance Company, let me know. Something new we're trying and want to make people better. So reach out. Thank you for the listen, and have a great rest of your day.